Okay, we're live.
Yay!
Yay! Hello, everybody. All right, we've already got somebody watching. We've got Tofu Matt on there.
Woohoo!
Hi, Matt. That's a friend of mine. He's a very good activist. He's very
Great.
passionate. Um, so we've only got one viewer. That's okay. It starts out slow because I am still a small channel. Though it is very encouraging that people seem to be enjoying this series because I have gained a lot of subscribers. To me, it's a lot of subscribers in the last month since I've been doing this series. So, everybody, I want to introduce you to Poli Sotomayor. She is known as Polifacética, which means multifaceted, which she very definitely is. And she is a self proclaimed nomad. She travels everywhere and she is sitting still long enough to have a conversation with us today. And I'm delighted and I'm very honored. Um, I did get to meet Poli. I was a fan of her YouTube channel before I ever got to meet her. And I happened to do the March Against Speciesism in Mexico City back in November of 2018. And that's when I finally got to meet her in person for the first time. So you're a very great you're a great activist. You're a very pleasant person, and it was nice to meet you. So I want to show where you're at. This is the tricky part because I'm no matter how many times I do this, I feel like I always mess it up. I'm going to share
You
where
won,
you're.
you won.
I'm going to share where you're at. So I got to share my screen. Share screen. Share screen. Yeah, see, that's where. All right. Application window. See, they give me a different tab every time.
Don't
Um,
worry.
are you seeing that?
No, no,
Okay.
I'm not.
See, I got to go back to StreamYard. I'm going to hit share.
Yeah,
There we
I
go.
see it now. Yay.
All right. So you are in Sinaloa, the state of Sinaloa,
Yeah.
Mexico. And there we go. I hit the capital because I couldn't find exactly where you're at. Let me move that over. So that is the capital.
Yeah. I'm a little bit more south.
Okay. You're like in the wilderness, aren't you?
It's not the wilderness. It's a small town, small population. It's called Escuinapa, and it's the town that it's most on the south of the state.
Okay. So I'm going to
Yeah.
stop sharing that. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to give a little bit of background on Mexico and Sinaloa. So,
Yeah.
Mexico is the world's 13th largest country and the 10th most populous. Sinaloa, Mexico is one of 32 states in Mexico. That's actually 31 states, and then the federal, the district, like kind of our Washington, D.C., which is Mexico City. So,
Yeah.
let's see. It is bordered by Sonora, Chihuahua, Durango, and Nayarit. You were just in Nayarit. I never
Yeah.
heard of it
Yeah.
before. And to be honest, I never heard of I'm sorry, Sinaloa before. But I've heard of all those other states. But the capital of Sinaloa is Culiacan Rosales. And I have heard of that, and
Yeah.
that's because it is known as it's known for its organized crime. Unfortunately, it's a lot of big drug cartels and money laundering and stuff like that. But um, let's see, it's also it includes several islands, including Palmito Verde, which I'd also heard of. So it's really weird that I hadn't heard of the state itself. Um, and it is also the most prominent state as far as agriculture. It's known as Mexico's breadbasket, but unfortunately, that also is livestock as well and fishing.
Yeah.
But it's a coastal area. So, after all that, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us more about yourself.
Yeah, I would love to tell you a little bit more about this place, Escuinapa,
Sure.
because I did a little bit of research to get to know this place. So since I'm a nomad, I'm always traveling to different places,
And where
mostly
where are
because
you from originally?
I'm original from Mexico City.
Okay, that's what
But
I
I
thought.
have been a full-time nomad. I think 3 years now, perhaps 2 years living in a van. And so I do this not just because I love to be in places where you can find no human at all, but also because it's a way that I can get to know more communities to do what I do, that it's activism. So I just love to have the opportunity to go to different places, meet different realities. And so I got here to Esquinapa just last night, but I started researching a little bit about what's the name, the meaning of the name. So Esquinapa, it's a word that it's in Nahuatl. That's a language that we have here for indigenous people, and that was the main language that we used to know before Spanish and before the people from Spain came here to invade. So the word Esquinapa means the place where the dogs go to the water, and supposedly that's the name because a lot of different types of dogs that are bred here used to be around the beach. So that's the name of the place.
So if you have a dog that you're traveling with, is that the place to be? Do they still have like big dog beaches, and is that a thing there?
Well, it's very sad actually because earlier today I went to the market to try to buy some fruits and vegetables, and I find out that the river it's already it's like a desert. There's no water in there anymore.
Oh,
So there was no place for Tamal. That's the name of my friend dog. There was no
yeah.
place for him to start running or doing anything. Not like he
Oh,
likes water either, but if he liked it, he wouldn't have a chance to do it.
oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, that's interesting. Is That's an interesting name.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing on your travels? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have been doing activism for a very long time. I started when I was a kid, so I'm doing activism since I was 12 years old. So that means that I have been doing it for 21 years now.
Wow.
So I started doing activism for the environment, working to put a lot more of trees inside of the cities, but also to give people knowledge about how to not pollute and how to create more of a sustainable way of living. And I find it very interesting because in that moment when I was a kid, no one was talking about zero waste or any of that, but I was kind of trying to start the conversation on that, you know?
I think you were well ahead of your time there.
I might.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
So,
I started on that. And
yeah.
I was also, when I was on college, I started to be as well an LGBT activist, a feminist activist, of course. Also, because here in Mexico, we have like a lot of violence. I would dare to say that I think this is the place where it's worst to be a woman anywhere in the world because we still have a lot of practices here where girls are forced to get married with old folks. Also, there's
Wow,
a
I
lot
didn't
of
know that. I didn't know that. I mean, I had heard of the violence that happens down there and in South America. It's pretty awful, some stories, but I
yeah.
did not know that they still make them marry at a young age.
Yes, and it's really a horror story for us because there's none one single friend, a female friend that I have that hasn't been sexually abused, that hasn't met a lot of abusers in the work and in different places. So that's a fight that we still have to do a lot, and that's also the reason why Mexico is a leading country on feminism because, of course, we as women we have to do all of this, right? So I was doing a lot of activism, but 6 years ago, I went vegan, and so I started to do as well activism for the animal rights. And so right now I am part of Brigada Animal Mexico, which is an independent collective of activists that is all around the country. And we create different types of campaigns. So not only pedagogic, so, we do like live streams and different kind of TV shows, but like in StreamYard as well, to try to tell the people about different types of exploitation. So not just what is happening on the farms, but as well what is happening inside the bullfighting, what is happening inside of the police stations, what is happening in the different types of industries that we might have never heard, but that they are perpetuating the speciesism. So that's one type of activism that I do. I'm also a lot on the part of the community care and mental health of the activists. And so that's another type of thing that I love to do as well. I create different types of forums, bringing people that know about the topic, and so that we can have different conversations on uh, have tools for ourselves, the tactics to know how to take care of us. Because of course, being an activist and being vegan in this planet, it's really, really hard. It's for our feelings. I mean, no matter how strong we think that we are every single day watching a lot of violence happening around us. So it's so important for us to have all of these tools to make it as well, not for us, but also so that our activism can keep on going. Because if we get burnout, if we start feeling really bad about what we are feeling and experiencing everywhere, we're going to stop and we're going to get depressed. So that's what I don't want to happen for me and for other people. So I try
Sure.
to do a lot of activism in this space as well.
Yeah,
And
that's been a big topic nowadays. I mean, it has been for the last few years, but I think it's even more so during this pandemic that people are really, really highlighting the topic of mental health, especially for animal rights activists in the community. So that's great that you're doing that. You do so much. I mean, you can just look at your YouTube channel and see you do workshops constantly. You constantly do educational stuff. It's amazing. You're nonstop. I mean, and for somebody living in a van,
yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, this is my recording studio. So right now you are looking at me in my van.
Yeah,
So
you do some amazing stuff. Do you do your workshops as you travel as well?
yes,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
So
do you do them in certain places, not just online?
yeah. So right now, because of COVID, we are not having the opportunity to do it. But
Sure.
before COVID, we actually did the biggest tour, the biggest activism and anti-speciesism tour that has happened ever in the world. So, for
Wow.
example, we did 170 conferences, workshops, and trainings in it
Wow.
was 15 months, for example. And so we were going to all of the states. So we have the opportunity to go to 28 of the 32 states here in Mexico. We were planning to go to South America, but we were actually on the border with Guatemala when the COVID started in March of
Wow.
last year. So we had to stop. And that's the reason why we also moved everything to the online platforms. And so it wasn't that bad because that gave us the opportunity to make bigger the team. Because now that we don't have to be all in the same place, that we have to be traveling all together to give these conferences. And so we had the chance to have more people helping us and being part of Brigada so we can do this all together.
And I think you're probably finding yourself reaching more people as well
Yeah.
because they have access. They don't have to travel to see you. They can watch you online, right?
Yeah, it's different though. I think that I would like it better if I could do it not online, but to be in the places. Because when you go to a place, you get to meet new communities and
Sure.
you get to meet new activists and you get to know a lot of people that it's not vegan yet. But when you go to a conference in a university and there's 150 students, for example, you get to talk with people that perhaps has never heard before the word especism.
Yeah.
So
So
for
you're
me,
doing outreach essentially.
yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I love to do that. But right now, of course, there's more availability for people that it's working and want to see a workshop or something that it's online. and they can see it later. But I feel like we are talking to the same people every single time, just the people that is following our project. So that's why I think it's so important to have multi-format and different types of contents, so that way you can as well access to different persons. So for example, right now I am also doing a small segment on a radio show every 2 weeks. So that's something that I think that helps a lot. And I also get invited to different podcasts and interviews like this one. And I love to go to all of these places, or well, not go, but connect to two to
Sure.
all of these spaces, because I think that that's the way to meet more people, to inspire other people to go active, to as well try to do different types of things, just with the goal of pursuing justice and kindness.
Well, I think that with all you do and all you have been doing, even online, I think you're definitely um, building up activists to be stronger when we are eventually back out on the streets. Because, yeah, like I said, you just do so many educational workshop videos. I saw an interview with you. I don't know if it was on your channel. I think it was on somebody else's channel, but you were just the other day. It's like you're just constantly working. Um, we do have a question from Matt. He said, "Are more feminists going vegan in Mexico as a result of drawing the correlations between human and non-human suffering?"
Yeah, yeah, I think yes. Also because I think that it's a topic that is very much alike. If you try to understand why is it that animals, or we as women, are being looked at as bodies and as a product, is because of the same reason. So it's because of capitalism, it's because of patriarchy. So whenever I go to different places where there's a group of feminists and I have the chance to talk about all of this oppression and how it's linked together, they always understand the topic. So of course, it's not like every single one of them go vegan right away, but a lot of them get into the topic and get to know better what's
Yeah.
the problematic with animals. And so as well, I think that worldwide, us vegans, we are 70%, we are women. So of course there's going to be a lot of feminism in the vegan community. And as well, the 84% of all of vegan activists, of anti-especism activists, are female as well. So I think talking about feminism needs to go along the way of talking about the oppression that the animals are living as well.
Yeah, see, I've actually gone to like the Women's Rights March and stuff like that. We have a booth and we try to talk about animal rights. I've had some women, I was really shocked at how defensive they were about it, how much they defended the use of animals. As a female myself, I just it shocks me. I'm like, I don't know how you don't make the connection that
Yeah.
you can't ask for, female for rights if you're like oppressing the female of another species. I mean, that's where it stems from.
Yeah.
Is the way I look at it. It's like as long as they're looking at females of any species as an object to be used as a commodity, you're not you're going to have a harder time getting your own
Yes.
rights if you're defending that, and I've been amazed at some of the women that have, but being in Mexico, I have seen a much larger um, feminist community as far as that goes, and I think that stems from also from the abuse that you were talking about before, um, and all the dangers that you guys. I mean, of course, there's dangers all over the world, but it really is some atrocious things happening to women in in Latin America, in South America, and Mexico, and stuff like that. But not to dwell on that too much, because when I go to Mexico, I always feel safe and happy, and surrounded by friends, and everybody's very friendly. So I don't want to give the wrong idea about Mexico, because Mexico
Yeah,
is a great place.
yeah, yeah, it's not like you can't travel here, or it's not like you can't
Yeah.
live here. I mean, I'm traveling, right, and I'm here, so It's not like you can't. It's just that what we are experiencing because of these rules that we have as culture, as society, it's something that we have made so normal that it's really, really hard to try to step out of all of these problematics and violence. It's not like if you are going on vacation to Cancun or to Oaxaca or whatever, you are not going to see it even because you are in a touristic place. But if
Yeah.
you are raised as a Mexican, you are going to be experiencing all of these problematics that are not just in here. I mean, in the States, in Canada, in
Yeah.
everywhere else, it's happening that women doesn't have that many places to work as being the head of the company, for example, because there's always more men than women working in different places of empowerment. I mean, and this is something that it's happening everywhere else. It's not just here. But what is happening here that is different of what is happening in other places is that there's a lot of violence around sexual violence here for happening around fathers or uncles that are raping their own family members, or there's a lot of women that get murdered here as well. So it's a horrible reality, but it's the one that it's happening here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, I asked you what part of Mexico you were originally from. You said Mexico City, but you travel so much. I usually ask what the culture and food is like there, but Mexico is a huge
Yeah,
country, so I'm sure it changes from one side to the other.
yeah,
Um,
a lot.
what kind
Yeah,
of like food and culture did you grow up in, and where are you at now?
yeah. So I think that's something that you can find no matter where part of the country you are tacos and tamales, which
Sure,
is kind of a little cake made out of corn
I
that
love
has
tamales.
sweet and salty flavors.
Yeah,
It's just wonderful, and
I
it
have to
happens to
say
be.
tamales is I like them better than tacos.
Oh wow!
Most people would be like, "You're blasphemy. What are you talking about?" Everybody loves I love tacos, but I love tamales. We don't get them that much here, so
Yeah,
tacos you can get anywhere. So
yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of different types of food depending on which part of the country you are. I mean, Mexico is really, really big. Like, if you would happen to try to go, like in car, for example, from one point to the other, you perhaps are going to need more than 60 hours driving because it's a very, very long country. So it's not going to be the same everywhere. But I think that's something that we also have a lot is different types of food that it's done with corn. So perhaps it has different names depending on the city or depending on the state you are, but they have uh, their version of having corn with perhaps beans or lentils or something else. Of course, also we have a lot of food that is more fresh, like fruits, different types of fruits. Like Mexico is a very diverse country on fruits. So also depending on the place that you are, you can find some fruits that perhaps you have never heard before. That
yeah,
keeps happening to me, even though I have been traveling for a very long time. And I think that all of the fruits are wonderful. That's my favorite type of food. So I'm just glad that I can find all of this diversity everywhere.
just bountiful amount of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
But what about like the and this is going to be pretty much universal as far as like everybody has meat in their culture. Um, but how do people look at the vegan movement now? I know it's getting bigger in Mexico City, and I know when I'm in Quintana Roo that I like, for example, I call Playa del Carmen like vegan paradise.
Yeah.
Um, but I know it's getting bigger in more the touristy cities. But you've been traveling around. What about the smaller areas? Have you found some places where people are just naturally more plant-based in their culture?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for example, in the center and in the south of the country, it's a lot more natural for people just to eat legumes and to eat cereals and to eat plants. I mean, fruits and vegetables and everything.
Well,
So
like in Chiapas, right?
yeah, Chiapas, Oaxaca, in Guerrero. These are states where you can find a lot of foods that are traditional with no animal exploitation. But still, we have a lot of animal exploitation in food here. So pretty much in every single state that you go, you are going to find their uh, food that is going to have the corpses of animals.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of restaurants as well, and there's a lot of markets in Mexico that are have a lot of plant-based options. So I think that that actually makes it very easy for us vegans to be in Mexico, because no matter which place you are, you're going to find tortillas, you're going to find the bread, you're going to find fruits, vegetables, legumes,
Beans. Yeah.
everywhere you
Yeah.
can find them, and they are so cheap. So it's really, really easy just to cook yourself a very nice meal.
That is one great thing when you're in Mexico is how cheap the food is. Anytime I go to Mexico, I try to get a kitchenette any place I'm staying. So you save a lot of money just cooking at home, even though I do want to eat out, of course. Um, but you save a lot of money that way because food is the groceries are just so cheap. It's wonderful. But what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say something with the. I knew it was like with the traveling. Oh, it'll come back to me if it's that important. Um, so you said you've been vegan for 6 years, right?
Yeah,
Now, what made you make the connection? You've been an activist for so long,
yeah. I
and
think,
finally, it just like one day you made the connection with veganism as well.
yeah. For me, I think it was the fact of having information that just made it so logical. Because I have been doing activism for so many different topics. I was actually doing activism for health and activism for food sovereignty at the moment as well. So when I get to have some articles on my hand and to start reading what was happening with the food industry, and when I saw conspiracy, it was like, whoa, so you're telling me that I'm not good enough environmentalist because I have been eating animals? And for me, it was like, of course I wasn't a good environmentalist. And in that moment, I just went vegan. So
Oh,
I
oh
was
yeah,
vegan.
that's what I was. I'm sorry, that's what I was going to ask you. With traveling in a van, you were saying how easy it is to be vegan. Do you do a lot of cooking yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a kitchen here in my van. And so everything I cook it
So
for me.
even
And so,
traveling, even to the
yeah,
small places, you found it very easy. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
it's
I
so
told
easy.
you it would come back to me in an inappropriate time. But anyway, you were talking about when you made the connection. So you made the connection because you were an environmentalist and you finally like you heard about like how it was
Yeah.
hurting the environment. Had you heard of veganism before that?
No, I have never heard about
Okay.
veganism. I mean, I heard before, not heard even, like I was catching some of hashtags in Instagram that talk about the vegan food. And so I kind of knew that that was perhaps a diet. And then
Yeah.
when I find out about this documentary and I started doing more research, I understood that veganism is not a diet at all. So it kind of expanded a lot what I was doing. And for me, I think it was just the next day that I started doing activism, because for me it was I have been doing activism for a very long time. So this is just yeah, like rational, like logical, like just another type of understanding and another data that is showing me other forms of oppression that I don't want to be part of and that I don't want the world to be part of. So I just started working on that right away.
Wow, that's interesting. So now my next question is I usually ask people if any of your family or friends are vegan. You were an activist from a young age. So I'm sure your family wasn't really surprised when you took on another issue, right? But how did they? I mean, but it still is different because are they vegan?
No, no,
Okay,
no, no, they not.
so was it harder for them to accept this new
I think
branch
that
of activism that you were taking on?
uh, in that moment, I think that for my parents and for my sister and for the people in my family around me, they already knew that I was very much a radical, and that It
They
wouldn't
knew
matter
they
if
couldn't
I said
stop you.
something. Yeah. So, so I remember that I told my father, and I told him I'm doing this because of these reasons, and he told me, "Okay, I totally understand it, and I applaud you that you are doing this." So he understood, and for me that was like, okay, I don't need anything more. But they're not vegan, and I don't think that they are going to go vegan any soon. Yeah, that's just the way I think it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think we all have that. Universally, I think most vegans, it's like the hardest people to outreach is your own family. It's very
Yeah, because
frustrating
we
to us.
shouldn't. I mean, we shouldn't try to reach to do outreach with our family, because if you try to talk with other people that you don't know, it's going to be easier. But for the people that know you, they are going to start telling you, "How can you talk about this? Can't you remember that you used to love, I don't know, read
Well,
or
I
anything?"
think they just don't feel like they need to take you as seriously and worry
Yeah,
about losing you. You know, I think that they just don't feel like they have to impress you at all, so they
yeah,
don't need to. I don't know how to the right word for that, but I think it's just they just don't feel like they need to take it as seriously because you're going to be around no matter what they do.
yeah. I
You
also
know,
think that it's a little bit about authority, because it's like I'm your father or I'm your mother, so you're not going to tell me what to do and what it's right and what it's wrong. I already know. So it's just like they don't want to listen to us telling them anything. But I do have some cousins and an aunt that it's vegan, and so that's nice. I don't get to see them that much. We don't even live in the same city or country, but it's nice to know that there are more of us in my family at least.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice. That
and
is
also
comforting.
by now I know that my family is not just the people that has the same blood as I have.
Sure.
So my family is spread all around Mexico and in different countries. And so it's the people that I get to sit down and talk with them about what I value in life. And so that's it. I don't need anything else.
So, what do they think about all your activism? Do they see everything that you do? I mean, do they see just all the amazing stuff you've done?
Yeah, I think that I know that they are proud of what I am doing. I also know that they feel a bit overwhelmed because of the fact that I'm doing all of this here, and we are having so much violence. And
Mm.
so I know that they get
They worry
worried.
about you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
They
know.
worry about you. So, you I was going to say, would you say it's easy or hard to be vegan in Mexico? But obviously, it's easy,
Yeah,
right? And it's no matter where you travel. No
no.
matter where you travel in Mexico, it's easy because you have such an abundance of plant foods there
Yeah,
that are sold fresh no matter where you go. Really, um,
yeah,
yeah. And I mean, if you're going to buy from a stand, they might put dairy and meat in it, but you could easily get it yourself or find alternatives or just ask
yeah,
them for without. Um, as an American, my Spanish still isn't that great. I do remember asking for a breakfast was supposed to be free at a place I was staying at, and I asked him, "Please, I just want the fruit in the morning. That's all I wanted because that's all they had. It was vegan." And they ended up putting cream or yeah,
yeah,
cream on it, and I did. It wasn't on the menu.
yeah,
And when I brought it back down and I said, "I can't eat that," they looked at me like they did not understand at all. I was like, no crema, por favor." And then they were like, "What is wrong with her?" They didn't understand. Why would you not? So there can be some barriers.
yeah,
But if you're making it on your own, you can easily get tortillas and fruit to go and stuff like that. So easy. Um,
yeah,
But I mean, it's good to hear from somebody who's traveled around, obviously more than I ever will, around Mexico, to hear that pretty consistently you're going to find it, and you're living in a van, you're doing it. You go to the more remote places than I have, so it's obviously, yeah, doable there, no matter where you're
yeah.
at.
It is
And there's
really.
such a huge activism community down there. I ain't like, oh, that's what I was going to do. I said I was going to play your video. So for everybody out there, the march that we did. You have a video on it. I'm going to play probably about a minute and a half because I'm in it. But
Great.
I'm going to play the first part of it, and then I'm going to find the part that I'm in. I just did a little, excuse me.
That's
Um,
okay.
Here, let me see if I could share again. Share screen. Is it sharing?
I can see it.
Okay. Application window. It's only showing me StreamYard Chrome tab. Oh, see, I found it. Okay, there we go. I found it. Are you seeing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to play a little bit of this.
There's no audio.
Oh, you don't hear it?
No.
Oh, no. That, I don't understand how I can play the audio. I think somebody else was having that problem earlier on their live stream too. So I'm not sure how to play the audio
I don't know
unless
what to
I
do.
share from not from the tab but from my screen. Anyway, I'm just going to skip ahead and show you me because I was so thrilled to see me in this.
Oh, great.
And then we'll stop. There we go. Where was I? No, no, no. I was in set. I was at 750. 750. Oops, passed it. And you'll see me with gray hair. There I am, right there.
Yay! With the mask. Great.
And there was Ann Vasquez was in that too. Right before me. I'm gonna end that. I'm sorry. It would have been better with the sound because I wanted to hear because you sound like an announcer. You sound like you can tell how professional you are and how long you've been doing this because you really sound like you should have your own show. Uh,
I
it
do
was
have my own show.
it's well you do yeah but everybody should check out your YouTube because I mean you really have some great videos. Um, but yeah, I was so thrilled when I was watching that and I was like, I'm in that. I'm
Oh,
in that. But I
great.
had gray hair at the time. But but yeah, Ann Vasquez was in that right before I walked past. She's another great activist. Is she
Yeah.
still in Mexico?
Yeah,
Or
she is.
okay, because I knew she went to Europe for a while.
Yeah.
So I didn't know I hadn't kept up with her just recently. I hadn't seen much from her. But she
Yeah.
was like jumping into bull rings and stuff
Yeah.
like that and doing some amazing stuff. There are just so many amazing, extremely, extremely passionate activists in Mexico that I mean, just a few years ago when I learned about and started meeting all of you, I was just blown away at just all the amazing stuff you guys are doing, and
Oh,
just makes me want to move to Mexico even more. I want to move to Mexico, damn it.
yay! Yeah, come here.
Everybody keeps telling me, "You got family here, come on down." I'm trying. I gotta save the money. They don't just let Americans move in. I wish they did, but they don't. Um, so even with all the incredible activists down there doing all this amazing stuff, and there was like 600 people at that march or more. Um,
Yeah, it was even more. I think like perhaps twice that number.
but in general, how do you think people view animal rights in Mexico?
Yeah. I think it depends on the place that you are at. Because I think that for most of the general population, they kind of understand that it's not okay to be violent with dogs and cats, but they are just thinking about those animals and not other species. But I think that it also depends on the place because if you go to different places that are more on community, more communication with the forest and the all different types of ecosystems, you're going to find more respect with animals. But there's other places that have a lot of industry on farms and with dairy, and so people just listen to us talking about non oppression for animals and they just think that we are crazy. But I think that it's going to depend on the place that you are. Because, for example, right now we have a lot of spaces talking about this topic in the media, in the radio, in the news papers, and in different types of communication. So I think that now it's becoming more of a topic that if you ask anywhere on the country, like, have you ever heard the word vegan? They're going to say yes. So it's more on the imagination of the people, but we still have to do a lot more on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I mean, when I've been down there, I found it, yeah, in some places it would be similar to how, the mindset in the United States. And in some places I felt they were more open to it than people in the United States. But, I live here, so I see it on a daily basis. So, um, yeah, I'd say it's pretty on par. I wish the activism were more on par. Just to me, the impression I got was the activism is maybe it's just because that's the group of people I know and I don't live there, but the activism is incredible down there. But yeah, I think the mindset is similar. I do. So, what is your favorite form of activism?
I would say that it would be community care. Anything that it's about how us as activists can have more tools, not just to care for ourselves, but as well to work as a team. And things like getting to know how to treat other people with diversity, and to be inclusive with all of us, and to understand that we humans are also animals, right? So we need to understand that any type of oppression, it's not something that we want to bring to our movement. So I would say that having conversations, having conferences, workshops, or anything about how to take care of us is something that I really love to do.
That's wonderful. And so, oh, I was going to ask you. I know this is skipping back, but I meant to ask you, and I need to put this in my list of questions because it's a good question to ask. What kind of we talk about foods a lot during this, but because it's a major part of veganism, but at the same time, we all know that we use animals in so many other ways. What about alternatives for like leathers and all the ways that we wear animals? Do you find that you have those alternatives there?
Yeah, I think that for pretty much everything, it's easy to be vegan here. I would say that the only thing that it's not going to be easy right now, it's that the two types of vaccines for COVID that the government is using here in Mexico are both tested in animals. So
Yeah,
there's
I
not
think
going to be
isn't that
opportunity
across the
for that.
board? I think that's across the board. I mean, I think that's everywhere. I think they've all been tested on animals.
No, no, not all of them.
No.
No,
See,
no,
I didn't know that. But I thought that they had all been tested, like they used eggs. I thought they all used eggs.
no, not all of them. Actually, the Canadian one is going to be vegan, for example.
I did not know that. See, I
Yeah.
did not know that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, medicines is a hard thing, because in general they just it's so weird that we do have alternatives to these things, and still they insist on it's got to be that the pharmaceutical companies are in bed with the dairy and meat industry. They're just
Yeah, of course.
such I mean, otherwise they would be using these alternatives because some of these alternatives that we have are cheaper and faster and more accurate as far as
Yeah,
testing.
I mean, 99% of all of the tests that get done on animals with the pharmaceutical industry are going to get different types of results when they are being used on humans. Why? Because we are not other type of animal.
Yeah,
So it's not okay to do that. And the science has been saying this for more than 60 years now. So it's just a matter of people on these industries wanting to use the animals, because there's of course a lot of money involved in this, and
yeah,
also because of the law, because a lot of the laws in different countries are not up to the science, that the science is saying that we don't need to use the tests, but the law is not changing. So we need to change the law so that different companies don't have to test, because they have like this law that is forcing them, because they can sell a product before it's tested. So we need to do this first.
See, I agree with you there because I think that a lot of people, a lot of vegans argue amongst themselves about like whether they should take a vaccine or a medication or not because whether or not it's vegan. I think we need to stop arguing with each other about that. And I think that we need to start changing the laws
Yeah,
and stop animal testing and labs altogether. I think that's what we need to focus our energy on instead of yelling at each other about the vaccines or the medicines.
yeah,
Because we do live in a non-vegan world, and it is as far as practical and possible. It's part of the definition. Um, we need to concentrate on stopping the people from not giving us alternatives when we
yeah,
have them available and they refuse to use them.
yeah,
I think that we all need to really, really start focusing on yeah, on labs, on animal testing, on pharmaceutical companies
yeah.
instead of arguing amongst each other.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I think that the most important type of activism that we can do is campaigning, because it doesn't matter how many people you talk to and how much outreach you do or how many songs you create about talking of animals or everything. If the industry is not changing because they have laws, and if the companies are not changing the practices because they still want to have more money, and they are not interested on understanding other types of production, yeah. So I think that it's a lot more important to get ourselves to do campaignings, so that way we can have real change.
Yeah. I personally, I think it's a combination because I don't think that you can make laws without changing the consumer. Because, for
Yeah,
example,
culture.
yeah, for example, politicians aren't going to push for laws that their constituents aren't behind. And if you're not touching the hearts and minds with outreach and changing the minds of that constituency, they're not going to elect somebody in that will change the laws. Do you know what I mean? So it's a
Yeah,
catch 22. So that's why I think that we need. That's why I think we need all forms of activism. I think they're all important and they all go hand in hand. Um, and but I don't think that we're going to get one without the other. Like I'm very much for lobbying and going against subsidies. Um, subsidizing the meat and dairy industry, but I don't think it's ever going to go through unless you change hearts and minds as well at the same time.
yeah, the thing is, I think that it's so important to change the culture, of course, but if you do research or try to understand other type of movements and what has made the changes for the loss of, let's talk about, I don't know, anti-racism or anything else, whatever, the thing that has happened is that it was not all of the population pushing for that. It was not most part of the population, but it was a group, a very radical group that was pushing. So we don't need to have a lot of vegan people. What we need is for all of the people to stop having the opportunity to harm animals. So that's what we need to change, because it's
I know,
not
and I
a
meant to.
matter.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's okay. It's not just a matter of, if you are vegan and you want to stop consuming products that are harming animals, but when you go to the supermarket, everything there, it's a product done about with the exploitation of animals. You're not going to have the opportunity to do it. But if you're not vegan and you go to a supermarket and there is no products of the animal exploitation, it doesn't matter if you are vegan or not. You just don't have the chance. So that's the reason why it's a lot more important, I think, that we push that, because if we are not changing the practices that the companies are doing, and if we are not pushing the laws to stop having all of these practices being illegal like it is right now, if animals are still being seen as properties, it doesn't matter if you're vegan or not. So we need to make it just illegal that this is happening, because otherwise we are putting all of the center of the equations on the individuals, and not on the people that is actually harming and it's actually being the oppressive one. So we are taking the responsibility away from the companies that are doing all of this. So that's the reason also why I think that it's important that we put our focus on the places that are right, because otherwise we're not going to do a great change. It doesn't matter if it happens 50 years more or whatever. We can be twice as vegans that we are now, but there's still going to be oppression and still going to be exploitation. So for example, right now there's a lot more vegans in the world, and it's increasing the percentage of people that it's vegan everywhere around the world, but that hasn't make it stop the animal exploitation. It doesn't have make it even make it a little bit less. So on the contrary, the farms right now are twice as the ones the number that were in the planet like 5 years ago. So why is happening that? Because it's not enough just to be vegan. We need to change the way that the economic system is going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree that. Like I said, I'm for the lobbying. I'm for all that stuff. I just, for example, if we do change a law without changing, and I'm not saying you have to change the majority, but without like also at the same time changing perspective, the way people see things, you're just going to get black market. It's the way I look at it. You're going to get people still doing it, but now it's illegal. It's kind of like the drug laws. They passed the drug laws, but it just got more people arrested and put in jail. It didn't stop people from using drugs. Um, eh, do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm not trying
Yeah,
to argue with
yeah,
you. I actually
yeah,
agree with you. I just think that there's a lot of nuance to it, but that's why I agree that we need so many forms of activism. And it's great that there's people that concentrate on every aspect, or on different aspects, I should say.
yeah,
We need that wherever people are best, wherever it is their strong suit, whether that be outreaching people or working in the law side of it. I'm all for it. I think that
yeah,
that is, and or if it's somebody like yourself that works well with mental health, um, or Claire Mann, she's another person that works with mental health. We need all of it. I think
yeah.
we need every aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no small activism. I
Yeah,
just think that some activism is more focused on something and other is focused on something else. So
yeah.
I just
We're
think
gonna
that,
need all of it.
yeah, everything is important, and whatever you are doing, if you are
Yeah,
feeling great doing it, go ahead and do it. Everything is just a way to fight against oppression. So
yeah,
it's just great. But I think that we need to review the effectiveness or
yeah.
of whatever we're doing. Yeah.
Sure. So, if a vegan visits Mexico, where should they go? Since you've traveled around, what would you say is your favorite part?
I would say that my favorite place in Mexico is Tepoztlan. Tepoztlan, it's a small town that it's around an hour from the Mexico City. It's a place in the mountains. It's a place that has a very big community of hippie people. So that's great because you find a lot of vegan food. But as well, you can find a lot of places that have rivers or places to go and hike. And so it's a very beautiful place to be.
What's it
Also,
called again?
Tepoztlan.
Tepoztlan.
Yes, Tepoztlan.
Okay. Sometimes it's hard. These earphones aren't the best, so I kind of like lose the bass in your voice. It makes it hard for me to hear a foreign word.
Yeah, so that's like my favorite place also because it's a tourist place, but that it's keeping the traditions of that place. So it's
Is
not
that where
like
the wait a minute? Is that where the pyramids are?
there's pyramids all around Mexico. So
But I mean, the
that-
sun and what about the sun and the moon pyramid?
no, that one is not there. No.
Okay, okay. I've only
Yeah.
been there once, so I couldn't remember, and that was like 20 years ago. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
but it
so
was
that's a place
beautiful.
that I would recommend people to go because if you go to perhaps Cancun or any other place that it's more touristy, you're going to find whatever that you can find in your country as well in a place that is touristy. But if you go to these other places, you're going to find real culture of Mexico. You're going to find real food of here that we are eating, like yeah, traditionally. So that's a way to get to know better the people, the country, the traditions, but as well to go to a place that it's going to help the people there, because uh, the place is owned by the indigenous people that first ever were settled there. So I think that's also important to keep in mind, not going just to these places that are so full of hotels, but these hotels are not of Mexican people. So I
Yeah,
think that
whenever I've gone to Mexico, well, the very first time I went to Mexico, I went to Cozumel, and I was again that was like over 20 years ago. Uh,
it's
I
really
don't want
close
to.
to the place that I am right now, actually.
What is Cozumel?
Yeah.
Cozumel, Mexico. You're on the other side of from
Oh, you're
Cozumel.
talking to Cozumel. Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah, I understood something.
Okay. I was really confused. I was like, "You're on the west side." No, but
Yeah,
I have to say the very first time I went, I did stay at a hotel. And I'd never been to Mexico before, but um, traveling on my own since every time I go, I stay at an Airbnb or at somebody's home. The time I stayed in Cancun, I was living. I always want to live like the people that live there. I don't want to live like a tourist because I mean, who wants to? I don't understand people who want to go to a hotel room. All they see is a beach and a hotel room, and that's all they're seeing.
yeah,
I want to see what it's like to live there, you know?
yeah.
And like the place I stayed at in Cancun, I was there for 10 days and I became friends with the lady who was renting her the room. It was a little apartment. We went out for vegan pizza and
Great.
yeah, and I kept in touch with her and but I just like walking around the streets and I go to the grocery store every day and act like I live there, go to the supermarket like everybody else. I did not see the beach the first time I went to Cancun because
Wow,
yeah, I was living like everybody else in the city.
wow.
That's all the tourist strip over on the beaches. It wasn't until the second time I came back she took me to the beach one day. you
Great.
know. But yeah, that's I don't know. I don't understand people who want to go and just see the inside of a hotel
Yeah,
room, you
yeah. I
know?
think like you, just like you
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
It's like I want to walk the streets like anybody else. I want to try to have conversation. I want to go to do the mundane things like go grocery shopping, eh, just like anybody else. Take the bus just like anybody else. Um, yeah, I don't like being rushed around. I don't like coming back and feeling like I need a vacation from my vacation because I'm so exhausted from having to do everything. Just
Yeah,
relax. It's Mexico's a wonderful place. I
yeah.
definitely recommend just to live like the locals when you're there. Definitely, you'll see so much more. So what is your favorite vegan dish that people should try?
I hate it when people ask me this, Cece, because uh, you guys always want me to say something like very, I don't know, like exotic, but my
Oh,
favorite
you don't
type
have to
of
say
food,
anything exotic. What is
I mean, it's just because my favorite type of food is fruit. So I'm
so
just
just
happy eating
you
mango.
have great fruit in Mexico. Try the
Yeah,
fruit. Any
yeah,
fruit you can try. I know that when I've gone there, I have tried fruit that I never heard of before. So
yeah,
yeah, just be adventurous, right? Be adventurous with the fresh produce and fruit.
yeah, yeah,
Take
it is.
advantage of that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have so many big fruits, like big watermelons and big papayas and big mangoes, and I just love fruit. I could eat it
Yeah,
all day long. I was actually raw for, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months, and I was the happiest person ever
I
because I was
was too.
eating fruit.
I was 2 years ago when I first went vegan. I got very into raw foods, and I was 100% raw for about 4 or 5 months, and I never felt better in my life.
Yeah,
It's just that I also like cooked foods, and it just I don't know comfort. I can't. I went back into cooking as well. I like a variety, but I was thinking about it the other day. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, I really prefer raw.
yeah,
I prefer my vegetables raw most
yeah, me
cases,
too.
you know?
Yeah,
And I find I feel better when I eat them that way.
yeah,
But I
yeah. You
still
have a
like
lot more energy.
Yeah, but I still like my burgers and you know, and stuff, my comfort foods and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's when I eat cooked. But yeah, I definitely feel better when I eat raw. So
Yeah. The thing
no,
for me is that I really like to eat like very, very healthy. So even in my own house, I don't have like a lot of food that is considered comfort food. I'm always eating like brown rice with lentils and a salad, and so I'm always eating very healthy. I do have to say that I have to have spicy food all of the time,
oh
and that's
yeah.
like the most for me. So if the food is not spicy, I think that I'm not eating.
I love spicy food as well. So,
Yeah,
but I also find that when you're in the more pleasant climates like Mexico, where it's warmer,
yeah,
it is a lot easier to be satisfied with the lighter foods, like the fruits and the vegetables
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. It is.
Whereas, you get in the colder climates, like where I'm at, you want the heavier comfort foods
Yeah.
sometimes.
Where are you right now?
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio,
Oh,
so I'm up north. The weather's getting better. It's still a little chilly most days, but we've had a few days that were nice and spring-like. I just want to let everybody know, the people that have been watching and commenting, I got this down here. It says new comments with an arrow, and I keep clicking it, and it won't scroll for some reason. So
mm,
if anybody's been commenting for the last, oh goodness, half an hour, it's not showing me. So I don't know what happened. It was right after I played that video
oh,
that the comments somehow like froze. So if people have been commenting anything or asking, I apologize. So all right. So in if a vegan comes to Mexico, how would you say they can get involved in the local vegan community wherever they're at?
yeah. So there are Facebook groups for I think pretty much every single state here. So if you are going to go to Sinaloa, to Michoacan, to Guerrero, to whatever state you're going, just go to Facebook first and just type vegans and vegetarians, but in Spanish, of course, veganos y vegetarianos, and you put the state. And I'm sure you're going to find a community there. And that's the best way to know if they are going to have some type of event that you can attend, or if they are going to have some action, or to know what are all of the restaurants that you can visit when you are there if you want to. So I think that's the best way. I do that every single time that I go to a place where I want to meet more people.
I do too. I agree. I agree. And I have done that. I've like before I went to Cancun and Playa del Carmen and all that, I checked out I tried to find places and find out at least where to eat. And then I became involved in AV. So the next time I came down, I was already involved with their chapters. So that's how I met
Yeah,
more people. And now it's kind of like family and
right.
um and that's how I ended up, knowing like Ricardo and Rox from the
Yeah,
AV chapter in Mexico City and meeting everybody else. So yeah, lots of Facebook groups. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely check them out. All right, so I finally want to ask you, where would you like to visit one day that you haven't before and learn about veganism there, anywhere in the world?
Yeah, I would love to go to Portland, but I think that it might be a little bit romantic in my head because I have heard that
Portland?
Portland, I have heard that there's a lot of vegan people in Portland and there's a lot of different vegan places in Portland. So I would love to be in a place where I don't feel like I'm the one that it's the strange one, the rare one. I would love to be in a place where I can fit. So
It's just so funny as an American, anytime I hear anybody from across the world, else in the world, anytime they say any place in the United States for me, I'm like, what? No. No, don't come here. You don't want to come here.
have you
No,
been there?
that's just how I feel, huh?
Have you
I
been there?
I have been to Portland, and one of my best friends that growing up, she lives out in Portland now with her wife, so and her son. So
And would you recommend it?
it's not my style.
Uh,
I'm more of an East Coast style girl. I also am not a big fan of LA. I'm not a big fan of California. Um, it's I can't explain it. It's just not my style. I am an Atlanta girl all the way, though. I do love Atlanta, Georgia. I lived there for about 12 years, and I consider that home in my heart. I always wanted to go back. I do love Atlanta, Georgia. If you get a chance, go to Atlanta. But I think, no, you know what? I think that you would love Portland. Portland is a great city. I haven't been there in well over a decade. Um, but when I was there, I wasn't there very long. I do remember eating at vegan places, though. So, but yeah, they have a vegan strip club there.
What?
Yeah, I Facebook friended the guy who owns the place at one time. I don't know if he's on my friends list anymore, but
I
yeah,
don't think that I would go to that place at all.
I thought it was hilarious. They had a vegan strip club. So.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would feel comfortable having other, I don't know, other
Well,
body that
it's
is
one way to
into.
outreach, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I wouldn't feel very feminist going to that place.
Well, I tell you what, one of the first really hardcore feminists that I ever knew, I was working in a strip club with her, and she was very proud of what she did. So I guess it's all your frame of mind, how you look
Yeah,
at it, and how you're using it, to your advantage.
yeah,
Um,
perhaps.
so
Yeah, as the way that I see it, I think that we as women we are seeing as just a body and just like something to be consumed, because everywhere we see that our bodies are there just to please other people's eyes. So strip club, it's a place that it doesn't matter if women there are enjoying it or not, but it's as well giving the idea that our bodies, even if we want to, are something to be consumed, something to be seen. So
yeah,
that's something that I wouldn't feel comfortable doing.
sure, sure.
But it's okay if other people like it. I don't know if other women. I wouldn't say the same if they were men. But if other women like to see other women get naked and do that by themselves, that's okay. Just go ahead and do it. And if you can do it in a vegan place, that's even better.
Yeah. The different
Yeah,
kind of outreach. So,
yeah,
tell us, is
yeah.
there
So
anything else you wanted to talk about while we're on here? Because that's really all my questions. And like I told the people, if there's anybody watching, I can't see anything. The comments are not scrolling for some reason.
yeah, if you go to the YouTube channel, you can see the comments there. You're not going to be able to put them on the screen, but you can see the comments if you go to the
Okay.
stream.
I hate going to my YouTube channel because uh well, I guess I got earphones on. I didn't think about that. Um
Yeah.
I was going to say the echo. Nope. There we go. I got an echo. Let's see. Oh, okay. I see some. Those people are willing to pay for animal abuse. Those. Now I got to catch up and I got to read out loud. uh, it looks like some people have had to go. So, did you see any questions that you wanted to address that I've missed?
Oh, I can't see the comments. I mean, I'm on
Oh,
my
you
phone,
can't.
so if I go to a YouTube app, I'm going to get out of the StreamYard.
Okay, well, I think I asked this question that Matt asked about. Do you think it's harder for people in Mexico to go vegan, being that Mexico has a very large cow skin trade? No, I think we've addressed that,
Yeah,
and we talked about medications, and I think we're caught up actually.
great.
So, this does bring up. Somebody mentioned avocados, but you ever hear people go, "Oh, vegans, it's such a you're harming other countries by eating their quinoa and avocados and importing them." What do you think about that while we're on here? I want to know what you think about
Yeah,
that.
well, they are right when they say that. I mean, the problem is not if you are eating a plant-based product or not. The problem is whether that product has exploitation or not. And that should be something that we are able to understand. It doesn't matter if it's exploitation of cows or pigs or exploitation of humans as well. So if you know that there is a product that is made with violence, you shouldn't be contributing and you shouldn't be buying that product. So
Is
that's
there
what happened.
violence in the quinoa and avocado industries? I mean, I'm asking a serious question.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the avocado industry here in Mexico, it's really, really violent because it's pretty much controlled by the people that it's selling drugs. So
Oh,
the people that it's working on the fields, it's forced to be there. They are left without their own land. And then the avocado is sold like really, really cheap to other parts of the world, but very, very expensive here for all of us. And so it's not something that is contributing to our food sovereignty, but as well, it means that if you are purchasing avocados that are coming from Michoacan, particularly from Mexico,
okay.
it means that you are contributing to these problematics with the food, uh, with drugs, and with the, yeah, everything that you have heard on the news about these narcos and these capos that are like these big leaders that go ahead and just to kill a lot of people because they want to control who is selling marijuana, who is selling cocaine, and also who is selling avocados. So
So
that's a
do
big
you
problem.
consume avocados while you're there?
I
I mean,
consume.
I'll be honest with you. I rarely, if ever, consume quinoa and avocado. I rarely consume avocados. Um, I used to when I was raw foodist, but
Yeah,
um, but and I do when I'm in Mexico. But what about when you're in Mexico? Are you contributing to that by buying them in Mexico?
I'm not, but I think that anyone is able to not contribute because it's so easy just to know where the food is coming from. So if you are buying your produce in a local market, if you are buying your produce in an ethical market, you can know if that's an avocado or rice or whatever that it's being produced in that state, or if it's coming from other place. And also here in Mexico, it's really, really popular that people has avocado trees in their houses. So it's very easy that you get to buy those avocados for people on different towns. So it's not something that happens every single time. Sometimes if you go just to buy to a supermarket, you're going to find everything that is coming from Michoacan, and you're going to find other produce that it's been done that it's imported from other states. But if you go to the local markets, sure, you're going to find something that it's more ethical. And so that's what I would say for people that it's living in other countries as well.
Okay.
That if you are able to buy in a local market or in a Walmart or in a Carrefour or whatever, don't go to the supermarkets. First of all, because it's not going to be something that it's good to the environment, but it's also not good in terms of social justice. And so you can put your money in something that you know who is the one that is producing that and how is he or she doing it. So I think that we always have an option. We just have to meet the people that it's doing this.
What about at the restaurants when you're in Mexico, though? I mean, you can't really know
I don't
where.
go to restaurants that are not from vegan and ethical people that I know. So I just don't do
Okay.
it. I
Okay.
think that that would be pretty much the same as if you go to a restaurant that has meat in it. Like you are just contributing to the problem, but you are using your privilege just to eat whatever you want to, but you are not looking at the big picture. That is that you are still being part of that problem.
Now I'm gonna have to start buying California avocados, and that kind of sucks because I don't like
Yeah,
California avocados.
yeah. Actually, I saw a documentary about the avocados there, and
Mm,
they are also having a lot of problematics around social justice because it's so hard for them to produce their avocados and try to compete with the Mexican ones. So
yeah.
if you are living in the States, it would be a lot better that you are buying produce of the States.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think it's ridiculous. I told you I don't like LA. I'm just not a big. I'm not a big fan of California. Mainly because it's like a bunch of people living in a desert, and they have cows and almonds and all these crops that need tons and tons of water in a
Yeah,
desert.
but it's pretty much the same if you buy avocados from Mexico, for example,
Yeah.
or whatever produce that is not coming from the States. Because if you try to think about it and what's the impact that it has, because it has to go from another part of the world, and all of the gas that needs just to get there. And what if that produce is being brought by plane, for example? So it's not something good for the environment, and of course it's not something good for the animals as well, because all of that pollution that we create with whatever we are consuming is something that is going to affect them. So I think that just because of the vegan part, just because of respecting other animals and other animals that are not on the farms but as well living in different ecosystems, we need to stop just polluting everything and buying things that are wrapped in plastic because they are selling it in Walmart. I just hate so much Walmart. I'm sorry.
I don't care for Walmart either. But you know, like I said, I want to move to Mexico. I'll just move down there and start growing my own avocados.
Yeah.
I have a dream. I
Yeah.
will one
Yeah.
day move to Mexico
Yeah. Do
and
it.
have an
Live your dream.
avocado tree. Anyway, so is there anything else that you wanted to say before we say goodbye? That's all my questions. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I would just like to say that when you were talking about different cities in the States, I have never been there. The only time that I have
oh,
gone outside of Mexico was when I went studying abroad to Canada. So I don't know the States. And actually,
I'm
I really,
surprised by that. I got the feeling that you'd travel
no,
because you travel so much within Mexico. I guess I just got the feeling that you.
no, never been there. I don't even have a visa. And I think that first of all, I haven't done it because the racism is so big, and it's so hard for us just to cross over, just to get the visa, and we have to pay a lot of money just to try to do all of that. And that doesn't say that you're going to have the acceptance of the states to let you go in. So I haven't done it because I don't think that it's an ethical process. So for political matters, I'm not doing it, at least not now. Perhaps in the future, if something changes, I don't know. But yeah, so also I wanted to say that I really don't like cities. I mean, I'm always in the wilderness. I'm always living in a forest, in a volcano, near to a river and everything. And I like it that way because I think that whenever you are in a city, you are always experiencing a lot of violence around you because of the places that are selling things that are not things, but it used to be someone, or it was done because of the oppression of somebody else. So I just don't like them. I think that cities are for me like a reminder of everything that it's violent in this planet. I just love to be in nature, and that's it. And the fact that I live in a van is also because of that, because it gives me the chance to be in a place where my heart can feel right, in a place where I can feel that my mental health is in place and I'm not just trying to escape from the place that I'm living. And the way that I live in a van, it's actually a lot more sustainable than living in a house or just traveling any other type of way, because I have my own solar panels. I have everything that I need, just like in here. So it's like a way to live that it's going to be a lot more radical and environmental friendly and vegan friendly than living in actual house. So I just wanted to say that part, because I think that for a lot of people it's really interesting, the fact that I'm a nomad and that I live in a van. But the way that I live in a van is not because I am doing tourism. I don't do tourism. I mean, I am living in these places. I'm using as few gas as I can use, and I actually know that I'm using the part that I'm using is like a small percentage of what an average person would use just to go to work a couple of days a week. So
Gas is
for
actually
me,
expensive
yeah.
in Mexico. And if you came from Mexico City, that it's so packed in Mexico City
Oh yeah.
that I can imagine that you know
Oh
you're
yeah.
not you kind of want to get away from the city.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
when I was a kid, Mexico City was the biggest city of the world. So for me, it was always like a crowded place and a very loud place, and a place that I think that Mexico City has everything, like the people that is the richest, but also the poorest people there. So
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. I just didn't like to be there and to have all of this. frenetic people that it's always angry, yelling at each other. It's not my vibe.
Well, I have to
I just
say,
want to be
as
happy.
much as I love Mexico City, I couldn't be there probably. I've spent I've spent 2 weeks and then 10 days there, and I did enjoy it. I did love it, but I love cities. To be honest with you, I love New York City. I love Chicago. I love Atlanta. Atlanta is not like New York and Chicago and Mexico City at all, but I mean, it's a bigger city than where I'm at now. But I have to say that I living there is a different thing. Um, as much as I love cities, I like also getting away from them. Um,
Yeah,
I want a little bit of both, where I can like get some quiet, if I want it, or not have to worry about traffic. But the big cities also have the mass transportation, which is nice. Yeah, there's pros and cons. I can understand it. I can understand it. There's times where I just want to live simply on a
yeah,
beach, on a beach with in my car. Yeah, just like you. The car I have now, I actually thought if I ever become homeless or if I ever move down to Mexico, I'm going to take it with me, and if I have to live in it on the beach, I'm fine with that.
yay, yeah.
One of these days, I am working on getting rid of a lot of my stuff. So
Great, that's the
yeah,
first step.
yeah. So, Poli, it was so great to talk to you and get to know you better.
Oh, thank you so
It's
much
been
for
a
the
long
invite.
time coming. I mean,
Yeah,
finally, after all this time, I got to sit down and actually have a good conversation with you. I wish you the best on your travels. I'm going to keep up with, with your Instagram stories and your YouTube. I think I figured out if you've got the closed captioning, I can watch some of your workshops because you have so much information there. I recommend anybody to go in there and see if you can get it. If you don't speak Spanish, see if you can get the closed captioning in English. That's what I
yeah,
did with Vigano Vitor's channel in Portuguese, and a lot of great
yeah.
information. Incredible activism. I mean, wow, you've been an activist for so long. Glad to finally have you on the vegan side.
Yeah.
So just enjoy yourself out there, okay? And I'll live vicariously through you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invite and for the conversation, and also
Thank you
for
for being here. Thank you.
giving me the chance to know you a little bit better. Thank you so much, really.
All right. Well, safe travels. The best to you and yours. And hopefully, I will see you soon.
Yeah,
All
let's
right.
go for that. Thank you
All
so much.
right. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye bye. Okay. Well, that was wonderful. I am so happy that I finally got to meet Poli. And I'm going to just tell you a couple of things. Wait a minute a second. I'm going to kick you, Poli. Okay. So I get distracted. I will talk to you soon. Um, So I just want to tell you a few things. It's kind of good news, kind of bad news. This was my last live stream for these interviews. That's the bad news. The good news is it's not the last interview. Really, all I'm going to do is I'm so happy that Poli was on here for the last live. But what I'm going to do is I found that it's really hard to keep up with time differences and people's work schedules, mine alone, to accommodate everybody. Some people are like 13 hours ahead of me. So I found that it's probably a better option for me to go ahead and just start pre recording these because I am still going to do these. I have actually next week, I have an interview with not just one, not just two, but four people, four vegans in Alaska. So I am going to be talking with them, and that will come out on Wednesday. I'm going to continue putting these out on Wednesdays. And I have several more guests lined up in the weeks after that. So I hope you guys, everybody that's been joining me live, I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here as I'm learning my way around this. I hope you've been enjoying it as much as I have. Uh, I'm really lucky to meet these amazing people and get to have these conversations with them. Um, I was doing this live also because I wanted to take questions from the audience if they had any. But to be honest, we haven't had that many questions that are new to. I have a list of questions that I ask, and we haven't really had a lot. So anyway, I will still be putting these out. It's just going to be pre-recorded now. So look for those every Wednesday. And again, my next guest will be from Alaska. So I hope to see you next week. Have a great night, everyone. Love ya.